All right, here's the beginning of Module 2. So, quick reminder, only got this black eye because I had a combine a couple days ago. And in case you're watching this from, you skipped Module 1 when I had the whole story. So, just got to address that really quick, obviously. So, for what you've seen so far, if you found anything helpful, please share it with a teammate, share it with your coaches. That's the only way that we're going to spread the game of rugby in the United States, around the world, or wherever you're from. So ultimately, we just want to give back as much as possible and educate everyone that we can, get them up to speed, and get them balling at rugby. So let's get into this second part of our masterclass. This one, we're going to talk about some beginner skills. So defining skills is probably the most important thing that you can understand for improving your game. So if you don't know what skill you need to work on, then how are you going to get better? That's what we're going to define here. So you can see we've got five primary skills that you'll see most often in the game, of which I'll say catch pass, tackling, and your ability to carry the ball are going to be the three most important. Rucking is obviously in there too, and then kicking. Not everybody needs to kick, but if you can kick, like there's going to be a spot for you on the team. So those are the five skills we're going to go over here. We're going to start out with catch pass. So what's the purpose of training our catch pass? Number one, it allows us to put the ball into space. Sounds very obvious, right? But it would be shocking the number of kids that I work with that can't quite grasp this. And, it takes time, and you don't know what you don't know. And that's what we're going to go over here. So, whenever, if we walk this through really quick, imagine somebody's over here passing me the ball and I'm passing the ball down the line, right? So an effective catch pass means that I catch the ball, cut my body in half. I catch the ball on the inside of my body so that I can catch it early. The sooner the ball is in our hands, the quicker we can get our eyes up and see what's going on in front of us. From there, we find the hip, ball's right at the hip, snap our head towards our target, finish both hands long. If we can do that as quickly, as fluidly as possible, then we have an effective catch pass, as long as that pass is delivered accurately and you don't get smashed with the ball in your hand or anything. All right, so how do we train our catch pass? Number one thing that I think is looked over or is overlooked in the catch pass is our ability to communicate. So coaches are always going to ask, like, what are things that we can work on? Those sort of conversations you'll have a lot, and answers are always going to be communication. Communication is always a great answer, but we got to be more specific than just communication. So it's specifically talking to the person on my interior who's given me the pass, and then I need to be talking to the person outside of me, and he needs to be talking to me too. So that's it for to put a term on that. That's working in threes. So I'm the middle guy. I got a guy on my left, guy on my right. Those are our three. Those are the three that we're working with. If all 15 guys work in threes, then we should essentially be one unit of 15, right? But that only comes from communication. So what I tell all of my players is, if I'm receiving a pass from a player inside of me, I need to give him three things. One, name. Two, direction. Three, distance. Name, direction, distance. That ensures that. So let's actually walk this through. So if I got I don't know, Joe on my interior, right? I'm going to say Joe, right, deep. That way, number one, he hears his name, so he knows I'm talking to him. Number two, he knows what direction that he needs to be looking. He knows what direction that ball needs to end up moving. And then three, the depth tells us what distance he needs to be able to pass the ball. So if he hears tip, if he hears flat, shallow, deep, those are four entirely different distances from each of those. So we need to give him accurate terminologies, because if he has a defender coming up right up on him, he needs to know where to put the ball, and we can feed him this information. So that's our job in working with those threes in order to give effective communication. For the points that I was making about what does an effective catch pass look like, we're starting with number one, our stance. So outside foot is up. So if I'm receiving the ball from my left, I want my right foot to be up. The purpose of that is so that our first step guarantees that we're going forward. Drifting is going to be a huge issue, especially as a beginner. So if you start with your inside foot up, then we not only can go forward, but we might be drifting outwards. So to prevent that, we want that inside foot forward. So that worst case scenario, if we're not going forward, then we're going inside, and it's a lot harder to drift if we're going inside. Drifting means we're going outside, and we don't want to be drifting. So stance is number one. Outside foot is up. Both hands are towards the target. So as I referenced earlier, the sooner we can get the ball in our hands, the sooner we can scan what's in front of us and make a decision and take action. From there, take the ball, find your hip. That bony part in your hip, that's where you want the ball to be placed. And you want the nose of the ball to be pointed towards your target. So we don't want to find the hip and the ball's facing forward. We want the nose facing that way because we're going to fire off that direction anyways. Then from there, we want to find our target. So remember, he's chatting, he's in our ear, he tells us, what was the three? Name, direction, distance. Could add a fourth one and say timing. So if you want Joe, right, deep, now, create some urgency. So we got the ball at our hip. We snap the head towards our target. We can't just listen and assume we can accurately deliver that pass, because there's going to be a moment that he says he's somewhere, but he's actually not. All right. A lot of players, they don't know what deep means. They could be deep, but in reality, for what terminology we're going to be talking about, he's going to be flat. And he thinks he's deep, but he's not, because we're beginners, and that's okay. So how do we help him out is we actually find our target and we pass the ball to our target by locking eyes instead of just blindly giving that pass. From there, we need to pass off the inside foot. So remember, our outside foot was up while we were catching, and now when we're passing, we're stepping off the inside foot. And by stepping off the inside foot, we hold our defender vertically. If I step into the pass and the ball's going that way and I step that direction, that means the defender across from me can also step this way, and that's what we don't want. We want to hold the defender in front of us so that when that ball goes, there is a time delay between when he goes from here on me to over there on my teammate. And if I step that direction when I pass, then that time delay is going to be lessened because he has a little bit of momentum going the direction that he wants to be going. We want to hold him vertically, so we pass off the inside foot. Long-winded say we're going to pass off the inside foot. Then, to close things off, we finish long. Both hands should be finishing towards your target, and we're finishing long. So, in other words, a good cue is that we don't want T-Rex arms. We don't want arms here. We don't want to be finishing there. It looks weird. It's bad. And if we finish long, that guarantees all the momentum that we put into the ball is going through the ball. Similar to kicking, similar to even like tennis. You don't want to swing. You don't want to swing short. You don't want to cut the swing off. You want to swing through it. And that's how you get the ball to actually go. That's how you get your, Venus Williams. You know what I mean? All right. So finish long. Both hands are finishing long. Then both hands are going toward our target. And if both hands are going towards our target, then that means we're delivering an accurate pass. We need accuracy. Goal is perfection. Obviously, it takes time to get there, but you can only get that if you're finishing long. You're running through all of these steps on every single pass until you get it perfect. So we just finished talking about our catch pass. The importance let me close with this. The most important part of that catch pass, the reason why it's important is because of the number of times you're going to be passing in a game. It's astronomical. It's 80 minutes long. Pass. It's constant. It's so constant. The reason why tackling, similarly, is so important is because Not only are we going to see a million passes in a game, we're also going to see a million tackles in a game. And if your tackling is not with good form, if it's not quality, if it's not up to standard, then number one, you're going to get hurt. Number two, you're going to get run over and embarrassed. And number three, the other team's going to go score, and whole team's going to be mad at you, man. Whole team's going to be mad, and that's not a situation you want to be in. No, I shouldn't say that. You're a beginner, so ultimately you're learning. Don't trip. Anyways, we're going to make sure that you're not in the situation that we're not making dominant tackles every single time. So first, we got to define what a tackle is. A tackle occurs when the ball carrier is brought to the ground and held. That means if you just chop someone's legs out from under him, obviously he goes to the ground, it's a tackle, but he's not held. So he can get up off the ground and start running again. So the difference being, if he is held and then does the same thing, that's a penalty because he has to release the ball before picking it back up and going. But if he's not held, then the referee will allow that play to continue on. So just because he's on the ground doesn't mean he's held. And our job in the tackle is to bring him down, hold him down, and go for a poach. We'll get to that later. So tackle is also made when a single or both knees are touching the ground. So this will be in moments that we have maybe two guys on the ball carrier, and there's different tactics to draw penalties where you can do what's called to hold somebody up. And long story short, his goal is to get to the ground. Our job is to hold him up in those moments, and it's going to be considered a tackle when he's trying to get down and he's able to get a knee to the ground. If he gets his knee to the ground, we have to release him and then, play on from there. So we'll walk through each of the steps for a proper tackle. Number one has to do with tackle tracking. That puts us in a good position and in order to make that tackle. So we need a close distance. If I'm 50 meters away from the guy, probably not going to make that tackle. But if I'm 2 meters away from the guy, it's a lot easier to make that tackle, right? So you want to close that distance, number one. Number two, imagine you're playing 2K. Imagine you're playing Madden. You got a ring around your player, right? Around the active player that you're shooting with. So that's our hoop, okay? And our job as a tackler, while he has ball in hand, we need to put our lead foot in that hoop. That's going to, again, close the distance. We want as little distance between me and the ball carrier as possible. And if we close that distance, that means we can also get our leg drive in, and we're by stepping in the hoop to make sure we're not lunging. We don't want to lunge. We want to drive, okay? So as soon as your foot is in the hoop, we need a late level change. So if you think of if I'm just like Naruto running at some guy and I'm low the entire time, then you can just, me as a ball carrier, you can just take his head and just throw him to the ground and then, play on. But if we get close in, and then, he can try to fin me, he can try and do, stiff arm me, whatever the case is, we can then duck that. And then, so that number one, we duck the fend. Number two, our shoulder is now at a proper height to deliver a proper tackle. And with these new tackling laws that just got instated, this week, you can only hit from the sternum. You can't really see from the sternum down. Okay. Sternum area is going to be a penalty nowadays. So our target zone is below the sternum and above the knees. And that level change guarantees that we can drive through him. We're not drawing a penalty. We're effectively tackling, and we can dodge that stiff arm. From there, we need to punch, wrap, and drive. When I was taught to tackle, I was told to wrap. Okay, just wrap. So, foot in the hoop, level change, and wrap. Okay, wrap is soft. Wrap, if you only wrap, you are soft. Don't be soft. You can't play rugby and be soft. Those two words, they don't match. Doesn't work. So instead, we want to punch. For that near side arm, once our foot is in the hoop and we have our level change, we need to punch with that arm. Literally punch, make a fist. I don't care. Punch. Okay. That's going to put him on the back foot. That's going to make sure that we're going through the tackle. Now that we've punched, then we can wrap. Then you can either wrap onto your own arm, or what I like to do is grab the back of the kneecaps and pull them in tightly to me. The key on this is that we need to get the far side leg, especially if he's bigger than us. So I've been in multiple instances that I got, I'm not big myself. I'm 5'9", 175, 180 pounds. And I can close that distance. I can get in there. I can get my foot in the hoop. I get my level change. I get my punch. And if he's bigger than me, a lot of times I need to pick up one leg and drive. And I'm lifting, driving my head into him. And from there, if I left it at that, then he could just keep hopping on that foot that's still on the ground if I can't reach for that far leg. So that's the purpose of getting that far leg, because if he doesn't have legs, then he is going to go down. So if we target the back of the kneecaps as we're lifting and driving, then we reach for that far leg, we can finish the job as long as you aggressively pull the back of that kneecap in. All right. So that should really conclude all of our steps. Number 1, we have our tackle tracking, so we need to close the distance. 2, we need to put our lead foot in the hoop. We're stepping in the hoop. So a common term is knee under nuts. So my knee is right under his nuts, right? From there, we need a clear level change. So we drop our hip height. That also drops our shoulder height. We're attacking within that box that is legal. And from there, we can punch with the near side arm, making sure that our head is on the proper side. So in football, they tell you to bite the ball. We need to go cheek to cheek. So our cheek is against their cheek, right? So from there, we're punching with that near side arm. We're wrapping both legs either on your arm, onto their legs, back of the kneecaps, and we're driving through. You can also get your head involved, and essentially, if you think of this in a physics way, right? If I'm pulling his legs towards me and I'm driving my head into him, he's essentially going to go from here to horizontal naturally, right? So if we run through each of those, then we can guarantee that we're going to deliver a proper tackle. Whenever you're practicing this on your own, I would highly recommend you take video. Take video so that you can watch yourself in real time. And if you're struggling with your tackles, you can figure out which of these steps are you missing. When you find which step you're missing, you'll find what's the weak link in your tackle game. And this is so important. This is so important because you're going to make so many tackles in the game. And defense wins games. Defense will win you a game. And if 14 out of the 15 of us can tackle, it still only takes that one missed tackle, that one player to miss a tackle for a line break. They go score on the 79th minute, and you're tied up, and we lose the game because of one missed tackle. That's the situation that we need to put ourselves in today before it ever happens, and treat every single tackle that we do in training just like the tackle that you're going to make in the 79th minute of the championship final when the score is tied. Okay? Consciously put yourself in that position. Treat every single tackle like it's that important, and I guarantee that you will be in a great position. I guarantee that you'll be a starter. There will be a spot for you on the field if you get this down. Kicking basics. If you're a forward, skip this one. Go straight to rucking. You don't need to learn about kicking. I'm just joking. Kicking is important for all players so that in the worst case scenario, if you're alone, deep in your own 22, and you got a whole line of defense coming at you, you need to get that ball to touch. You need to get that ball out of bounds. All right. So for our kicking basics, we're not necessarily going to go through the form of how to kick yet. We'll go that in our intermediate masterclass. Before a beginner masterclass, we'll go over what options that we have. So there's going to be different kinds of kicks, different types of kicks. Okay. And these are generally, I make the joke about forwards at the beginning because this is generally going to be our backs kicking. So let's run through this. Number one, we got our exit, also known as a clearance kick. I like exit because it's extremely obvious, regardless of what team that you're playing for, what needs to happen. And that means we need to exit. We need to get the ball out. So we're going to kick the ball to touch. Touch just meaning if the ball goes into touch, that means it goes straight out of bounds before it lands in field. So it goes straight out of bounds and it touches ground. All right. That kick, it's generally going to be as far downfield as you can. Getting it out is more important than getting it downfield because you don't want it to land in bounds. But the farther that we can get it downfield, the better, because it puts us in a more, or it puts them in a less advantageous position when they get the ball back. A line drive is a kick used to cover distance without a lot of height. So it's not going to get super high, but it's going to go straight far, very far. Okay. And you'll see that whenever, say a winger gives him a signal to the fly half that he wants to go chase the ball, this is a moment that we can use a line drive kick. Grubbers is going to be very similar to an onside kick in football. So a grubber is used whenever if there's a rush defense. Also a chip. Chip can also be used in this, what I'm about to describe. If the defense is pressing up on you, they're taking a lot of space. That means there's going to be space in behind the line. All right. And the ball's just going to be rolling on the ground. So the advantage is that, number one, grubbers are very easy to control. Number two is that as it rolls, it's going to go roll, 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 pop. And on the pop is generally going to be a good 3-4 second window that the ball is in the air. And that's our chance to run onto the ball, catch it, step the 15 or 2v1 against the 15, and then we go score. All right. So I like them a lot because they're very easy to control. Following this, we have a high ball. High balls are used to apply pressure against the back three system, the back three rotation, the pendulum that we talked about in our positional section. And on top of that, we can target specific players. Wings are generally going to be the new man's position, and a lot of the times they're going to be terrified of the balls. They're just waiting for the ball to come down, and they're just staring at it. And in their peripheral down here, they can see all these people coming at them, and they're crapping their pants, and we can target that. We can abuse that, and that's the time that we want to put a high ball through. So we can apply pressure, and we can target certain individuals on top of that. The chip is going to be our alternative to grubber in the scenario that they're pressing up on us. Even if we get like a 1v1 with the fullback, if we break, if we make a break as a wing, and then that fullback is scraping over the top, we just give it a little bit of chip. So it's a little dink over the top, something just get a little bit of distance, a little bit of height, and we can either catch it before it hits the ground or let it hit the ground, give that pop that we talked about, and we can run onto it, finish the job, go score. Last one is a spiral. I hate catching spirals, and it's because of the way the ball moves when it's in the air. It's like I don't even know like a corkscrew type of motion. And on top of that, they come down a lot faster just because of the spiral. It just catches air better, and it comes down a lot faster. And it also comes down vertically. So instead of coming end over end, it's just harder to catch. You can get some good distance on these kicks. They're a good kick to have in your tool bag. So hopefully this makes sense with all of our kicking basics, what our options are. Carrying the ball. Forwards is your time to shine. This is where you should be dominating the game. Carrying the ball, you're obviously going to have a lot of size, especially if you're a prop, if you're an 8-man, if you're strong, if you have leg drive, if you have proper body height. These are all things we need in order to carry the ball, win the gain line, win possession, and get the defense on their back foot. All right. So what is our goal when we're playing rugby is obviously to go score. How do we do that? We can't do that by passing the ball forward. The only way to move forward is by having the ball in hand and we're driving forward. So our forwards, you're going to have a lot of collisions, and in these collisions, we need to win the gain line. What is the gain line? That is whenever a tackle is made, our defense sets the line at the back of the ruck, and that is the line that we're trying to break. So if we break through that and then get tackled, we're winning the gain line. If the defense comes up to us and then we get tackled without breaking through, then we lost the gain line. That's how we can dictate whether we're going forwards per phase or backwards every phase. Okay. And our skill here for carrying the ball is to win the gain line every single time we touch the ball. On top of winning the gain line, there's other purposes to this. There's other things we need to think of that come after carrying the ball just into contact. So just because we got tackled doesn't mean job is over. We still need to maintain possession. We still need to create a clear platform to set up the next phase. So we don't want our scrum half to have to dig into the ruck in order to get that ball out. Instead, we want to present that ball to him in a way that he can access it easily, pull the ball and ship it out, ready for the next phase. And then boom, 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 we're just play. And the faster we play, the less time that the defense has to get organized. And if they have less time to organize, then there's more holes to exploit. Number one, how do we do this? We use our footwork. Ball is caught, 9 hits us, boom, ball is caught. From here, we need to use a little bit of footwork. So a common phrase you'll hear a lot is attacking the branches, not the tree trunk. So the tree trunk being the defender itself, arms of the branches. So if we can use our footwork to go square him up, take a step laterally, and then square up again, then we can increase the odds that we hit a branch and not a tree trunk. Key is that we're not going square lateral and just drifting and just it's not dominant, because if we're not going forward, then we're not breaking the gain line. So we need to go square lateral to get to the branch and then square up again, because we need to prepare for that impact. We need to deliver it vertically, not horizontally. We don't want to go laterally. When we anticipate going into contact, we need to tuck the ball away from the defenders. So if I have the ball here, right here in front of me, and I go in, how easy is that for the ball to get stripped or for something to go sideways? Instead, tuck the ball away. If I'm getting tackled from this right side here, I don't want the ball in my right hand. I want it in the far hand. Sounds obvious, but your brain shuts off whenever you're playing, and especially as a beginner, right? Next, we know we're going into contact. We need to take our shoulders to their pockets. If we take contact standing tall, we're giving them a huge window for them to break into and smash us. But if we attack our shoulders to their pockets, that means that we're getting low and we're driving forward. We're driving low, and low man wins. We've heard it a million times growing up since you were 6 years old playing peewee football, that low man wins. So we have to get low. We have to drive our legs through that contact. So we're driving through branches because we did our footwork. Ball is tucked away. Ball is secured. We had our shoulders dropped to their pocket height, and we're driving our legs. From here, boom, we hit the ground. Now, job is not finished just because we got tackled. We have groundwork to do. So we score the try, means ball is right under my chest, and I go into my jackknife or staple position, and that's how we get the ball back to our own team. All right, so there's a lot of different presentations that we hit, but that's the gist for running through how to properly carry the ball. All right, we're on to rucking. If you're a back, please listen. Please don't be soft. Please don't be terrified of rucking, because you need to do it. You need to be able to do this. And ultimately, backs are the guys that are generally terrified of contact, and you're not going to be one of them, because you're going to lock in on rucking if you're a back. So if you're a forward, that means you're going to dominate this. This is your bread and butter. You're literally either going to be carrying the ball or rucking whenever you're in attack. It's literally one of the two. So these are going to be your two core skills, is rucking and your ball carry ability. All right, so y'all probably don't even know what I'm talking about. What is a ruck? A ruck is formed if the ball is on the ground and one or more players from each team who are on their feet close around it. So to paint the picture for you, ball carrier gets tackled. Us in attack, we have one person go over the tackler. He's going to bind on to the man on the ground, the tackled ball carrier, in a low, strong, stable position, so that whenever the counter rucker comes in to try and blow us up, their goal is to win possession. They need to take out the immediate threat, and the only way to win possession is to go through us. Okay, so that's what our ruck is going to look like. So our goal in attack is to retain possession and play the next phase. Whenever we're arriving to the ruck, we're going to have multiple players. We're going to generally have 2 to 3, sometimes 4 players enter the ruck. The first player is his role, his responsibility is to clear out any threat. So that means if there's a player who just got tackled and there's another defender going to poach the ball, meaning that he's entered the ruck and he's trying to steal possession, our job is to clear him out before he ever touches the ball, before he ever poaches the ball. All right. So that means we're not going to bind on to the tackler himself. Instead, we're binding on to the poacher, to the defender, and you're literally just going to take him out of the ruck. Just drive him backwards and keep running your feet. I don't care what you need to do. Take him to the ground. Literally just remove that threat. Next players to arrive are going to be sealing the ruck. And this is what the picture that we painted earlier, where we're binding onto the player that's on the ground and we're in a low, strong, stable base with our eyes up. Because when a counter ruck comes, that means a defender is going to come and try and blow us up. He's going to try and take us out of the play. So similar to us clearing out any threat, they need to do the same thing to clear us out, and then they have a chance to steal the ball. Okay? So we need to prevent any potential for the defense to win this possession. That's by clearing out the threat, and that's by sealing the ball. The position that we need to be in needs to be low, strong, and stable with our eyes up. And the reason we have our eyes up is because instead of just binding on and seeing that they're coming to us and just waiting for the storm to crash down on us, we can act. If we have our eyes up, we can go into that. I can bind onto somebody and still throw my body forward so that there's a collision and a stalemate, instead of me just sitting here and then I just get smashed through. Instead, if I have my eyes up here, then as he comes, we can meet in the middle and I can actually give him some impact. So hopefully this makes sense. This is critical that we understand this. This is critical that we have a strong ability to ruck, especially if we're a forward, especially if you're a back. Don't be soft. Get your head in the trenches and do your job. All right. And that it really comes down to, this isn't positionally either. This is, if you're closest to the ruck, then you need to get there. That's intuitive to understand. So if I look around and this ruck is like, I just saw someone get tackled, I don't want the light bulb moment to go off too late. I need to anticipate, I need to get there. I need to clear this ruck out. I need to secure possession for my team. Congratulations. You made it to the end of Module 2. Our job is to take action. Again, just like last module, we're not here to just sit here behind a computer, sit here on your phone, and just sit here and watch videos. The knowledge doesn't matter if it's not applied. So you need to take action to go apply everything that you just learned. There were 5 skills that we just reviewed together. All right, catch, pass, tackle, kicking, carrying the ball, and rucking. 5 skills. Over the next 5 days, the expectation and the homework for you, if the goal for you is to get better and be a better rugby player, be the best on your team, expectation and homework for you is to practice each of these skills for 20 minutes. So Monday, I can work on my catch pass. Tuesday, I work on my tackling. Wednesday, and so on. You get the idea. but you need to go take action. Don't do this alone. Grab a friend, grab a teammate, invite them to do a skills training session together. Let's come back to the identity shift that comes with being in this community and watching these videos, right? You're becoming the source of knowledge and inspiration and power for your team. And it can be, if you're young, like obviously I was in high school one day and I was new to all of this, and there's like a lot of, I don't know, it might feel uncomfortable, it might feel weird to just like text your teammate and say like, let's go kick some balls today. Like that might just be out of the picture for you right now, but embrace that identity shift. Be the guy that sends a message in the group chat and says, hey boys, Tuesday, we normally practice from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock. We need to show up at 5 so that we can work on some skills. And you have all the skill sessions in our resources tab. You have everything you need in there. All you need to do is take action. I'm trying to make this as easy as possible for you to be the best rugby player that you can possibly be. And in order to do so, you need to take action and you need to embrace this identity shift. So congratulations in finishing module 2. We still have a lot to go through. And if all of this feels overwhelming, then good, because you're growing. That means you're learning. If this feels like a lot to take in, it's because it is. This is a lot of information, but it's going to pay off in the long run. And you have to think of the version of yourself in 6 months and not the version of yourself today, because you're planting the seeds for who you're going to become in 6 months from today. And by you watching these videos and by you taking action this week, you are going to be a new, improved version of yourself. And I genuinely mean that, because there's so many transformations and shifts that come with your life, and you need to make sure that they're moving you in a positive direction. So you as a rugby player today, you're going to be thoroughly impressed by the rugby player that you are in 6 months, having applied these actions. And it all starts with this week. So take action and continue watching these videos. We got a couple more modules. We're going to get there, and you're going to get all of these skills in your bag. I promise you.